And welcome everyone to Sports Shorts. Ronnie Rance here in the LeBears Casino Studios here in Baton Rouge. Joining me is legendary coach and former athletic director, many accolades, including Louisiana Sports Hall of Famer, Skip Bertman. How are you, Coach?
I'm great, Ronnie. It's nice to see you.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Even there's this time of the year, probably I'm sure just like for me, your favorite time of the year, opening day college baseball. Didn't grow up in a state that had a Major League Baseball team, so college baseball is kind of my opening day. And what were some of the thoughts on LSU from its opening weekend and record crowds? By the way, over 35,000 at the box.
I had I cheated a little. I had lunch with Coach Maneri, beforehand. I got a little inside information, which showed that Bianco, Mike's boy.
Yeah, Drew.
Drew, number 5, is a really good player. I was very happy with that. I hope Mike's not getting a lot of heat up there. Saying, how'd you let that
home
one
run
get away?
and he didn't get him at Ole Miss, right?
Yeah, how'd you get that away? I was very excited on opening day to see a full house of 12,000 plus. Where the standing room is really deep and the students moving to right field. It's a good idea. I kind of liked it. I like the tents in right field deep or left field deep, where people pay
the yard,
called the yard, coming off the football chute,
right?
That worked so successfully. The administration puts in a place where you can drink beer, but you just can't bring it out as per SEC rules. On the other hand, from what I heard from the administrator, it's worked real well. From what I heard from Larry and Tammy, this is one of the giant food weekends that they've had. It's like a football game.
Right.
They did so well. And, of course, most importantly of all, the team played well. Many players played well. And I'm very excited for Paul.
The yard, which, of course, people in the club, people in the suites have been able to drink alcohol, just like in football or any other sport on campus that has that. But the public wasn't able to have alcohol in the stadium legally. And so they set up the yard. They did these tents. Now, I've got a suggestion, Coach. What would be your thought, okay? In between center field and the right field bleachers, there's a void there. Right?
Outside the fence.
Outside the fence. And I know there's talk of maybe some little smaller scoreboard or something on that end or whatever, but there's this gap right there, which could either put more bleachers or, in my mind, build a deck and put the yard out there to where you're literally standing in a deck above the fence, but covered or not, but probably covered, and you're standing up there. You're able to drink and watch the game.
Right.
I don't know if that I guess that might be against some kind of rules or something where you can't see the field. You know what I mean?
Nah,
but I like that. I mean,
right. Other schools,
sign me up for that.
Right. Other schools do that. Mississippi has students outside the fence,
right,
where they drink beer.
Right.
That's not a bad idea, and of course that space has been talked about, like you said, with the scoreboard that can provide other things besides what the biggest scoreboard in college baseball provides.
They need another one because they don't have a big enough.
Right. And the whole thing, Ronnie, everybody wants more. Everybody costs more. I think a humorous story is the volleyball team took over the tennis center.
Right. The old tennis complex on campus is now a beach volleyball facility. Will open up in a few weeks.
Right. And, of course, they fixed the seats, and then they went underneath, fixed the locker rooms, and of course, changed the cement, into the sand. And I remember an administrator saying, wow, this is great. We're the only one that has one on campus.
Right.
And, wow, this is great. It only cost $2.5 million. And he was excited,
right,
because now everything, costs $12 million to do this, $8 million to do this, right, and it's just so tough on the fans keep coming up with more and more. And people say, when is enough? And the answer is never, folks.
$2.5 million for the new on-campus beach volleyball facility that literally has 300 seats.
That's
like,
right.
You know what I mean? Literally, there's literally only 300 seats in the thing, and it's $2.5 million.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. What was the cost of Alec Box when you were athletic director? 36?
32.
32.
And it came right after Katrina, and we got nailed in. It probably should have been 28 or 26.
Right.
And now a $75 million stadium built at Mississippi State, which, of course, has that left field condo.
Condos,
you know.
Yeah.
And that's wonderful with the bed, and you stay there for the weekend. And, of course, that's well done by Cone up there. I think that was good. But Kentucky, I mean, it was $50+ million
Facility.
for a facility. You can remember freezing up there.
Yeah. I mean, look, the University of Kentucky, and John Cohen, give him credit. John Cohen's, of course, the athletic director at Mississippi State now, and he was the baseball coach for the Bulldogs. But before that, he was the head baseball coach at Kentucky.
Won the conference.
And I remember when he got things turned around over there at Kentucky, around 06, when things started going better for them, they went as a team, and this was totally out of the Skip Bertman page. They went, got dressed up in uniforms and went as a team around town to neighborhoods or businesses that they had some kind of relationship, and basically knocked on doors to sell season tickets.
That's
and
correct.
They went from 200 season tickets to 900 season tickets, and they were, puffing their chest out,
Right.
And here we are, not even 13 years later, and they're building a $50 million facility. It's incredible.
It is incredible how fast baseball has moved.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know very, very well, having played the ball, the sport and know a lot about it, you also know a lot about the youth portion of the sport, and the fact that the recruiters, say Nolan Kane, an assistant coach in recruiting, has to go to a large tournament and pick from 150, 60 kids that most are sophomores and juniors, and then commit with the juniors, and then babysit them for a year and go back the next year when they're seniors, and then take them, and then finally they can visit after September 1, and then they can sign their actual letter on November 15th. And it's so different now than it used to be when you were playing, and I traveled to New York. Just finding the stadium was, something. And then push my radar gun out to see the kids' first pitch, and all of a sudden the snow would come down. Now, of course, they have a pick of so many kids. And, of course, that's both good and bad for Paul. It means that other coaches have the same picks.
Right.
And
get to see the same kids.
And get to see the same kids, go to the same tournaments, get the same booklet, which tells you their walk-up song. Not to mention their GPA and their parents' name and all of that. So it's come a long way, and it's profitable.
Right.
It may not, like Paul actually profits, and makes more money than he spends, but other schools that are really good, so they can still profit and make $500,000 or $600,000, even if they spend $1 million.
Right.
That's a wonderful thing for the athletic director.
Visiting with Coach Skip Bertman, of course, 1984 to 2001, the baseball coach at LSU, and well documented. Grew up over there in Miami, did some great things with the Hurricanes, won a national championship before coming to Baton Rouge. You had I do a lot of work with UL Lafayette, Raging Cajuns, and I think the world of Tony Robichaux, and I know you do as well.
Yes, I do.
You guys have a long relationship, and I bring it up because he was the youngest coach in the country when he was hired by McNeese. I want to say 85. He was 24 years old. He's got over 1,100 wins, been to the College World Series, and because LSU is in Baton Rouge and it leads the nation in attendance for over 20 years, and it blows out, it's number one on the list, and then they should even leave 2 open. It should just be blank. It should be idle, because it shouldn't. There isn't a number. It's 1 LSU and then 3.
Way down,
But But the Raging Cajuns were number 8 in the country in attendance last year. The year before, they were number 9 in the country in attendance. They made an investment of about 16, 17 million to redo their facility a couple years back. The atmosphere over there is a fantastic atmosphere. They have their own traditions and things, and
Yes,
they do allow alcohol in their stadium. But I know that's going to make you proud, even though you're an LSU Tiger, because you and Tony have that such a good relationship.
Makes me very proud. Good question, Ron. First of all, I noticed Tony was really good when he was at McNeese as a young man, and I was able to go there, like I did to every other place in those days to make the crowds bigger. And you can see that Tony worked hard to get the crowd. And not only was he a good baseball coach, but he was also multifaceted and could do many other things in the community. All right, and then, of course, he goes to a University of Louisiana Lafayette, and he started. It had a great softball tradition, as you know, and then baseball, of course, started to mushroom. And of course, since they were so close, I used to go often. And, pitched there. Ben McDonald pitched there. And I can remember distinctly people sitting in center field in the trees.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I can remember the excitement, that the people had. And then Tony just picked it up, from there. And then, of course, he won. Then he ended up in Omaha. He played before we did. He played Stanford and was able to give me some information that I think was helpful. And, of course, only the state coaches would do something like that. And then, of course, Tony had his son play. And
two sons play for him.
And two. But Tony made this into a wonderful job. See, many other coaches could do this. They just don't know how. But Tony's very bright and exceptional baseball coach.
It's surprising. He's a family man. He's from Southwest Louisiana, a man of faith. And it always surprised me that when all these big jobs came available around the country, how his name never came up. And part of that is I truly believe, and he says this, and I believe him, that he always said, not interested. I'm going to stay here. This is where I want to be. But it just seemed like with all his success and being the age, he was such a young guy. He's still a young guy. He's only in his 50s,
really.
and who knows how long he's going to coach for. I mean, he might get to 2,000 wins before this thing's all over with.
Sure.
But the point is that I always was surprised that his name wasn't always brought up as a guy to take over at Florida or Texas or somewhere else.
Well, we're not real good at that in baseball yet. We're not real good. Like we got Kendall Rogers, which tells you
D1baseball.com.
Yeah, D1 Baseball tells you who the top, but he doesn't really know. Baseball's still, relatively new.
Mm-hmm.
See, whereas basketball, LSU picked up Will Wade, and you can see the difference when you get particularly, a full-service coach.
Mm-hmm.
One that takes care of the fans, community, and he knows about a zone, and he knows about all the basketball things. All right. But Will Wade seems to be that guy. Robichaux is that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And found out that, there really is no value in moving to a new spot. Where?
Right.
Where would he go? I told him last year, or 2 years ago when he was here, you have the best job in the United States, and you've earned it.
Mm-hmm.
When you made it the best job. And that's what's wonderful about it.
Yeah. All right, well, LSU and UL, the Raging Cajuns, will do battle April the 16th this year, the one time they'll meet in the Wally Pontiff Junior Classic down at the Shrine on Airline. We'll have that game for you on CST, produced by the Jumbo Sports Network. And be curious to see. I really hope next year in 2020 and beyond that these two teams continue to play together. I know in 2020 the Wally Pontiff Junior game will become LSU Tulane. At that point, they'll flip to Tulane because that's how that'll be the one time that those two teams are able to play every year on a neutral site. But I hope they go to some kind of home and all that, because that's two top 10 teams in the country in attendance, two rabid fan bases.
Right.
So we'll take a time out. The legend, Coach Skip Bertman, joining us here on Sports Shorts, presented by LaBear's Casino. We'll be back. When we come back, we'll talk about Pulmonary Squad. That's next.
Heater outages hurt everyone. Don't be a victim. Call Accutemp and schedule your maintenance check today.
If you're an avid sports fan, then you need to check out the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, located in historic downtown Natchitoches, next to the Chateau St. Denis Hotel and the Natchitoches Convention Center. The Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame is where the rich history of Louisiana sports is told through the pictures, artifacts, and by the legends themselves in video archives. Come to the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame and Northwest Louisiana History Museum and visit a world-renowned architectural marvel. For more information and to purchase tickets to the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame events, visit lasportshall.com/purchase.
Introducing the Mercedes-Benz family of vans, including the full-size Sprinter and the mid-size Metris. If these are your wingtips, if this is your gourmet latte, then these are your vans. Vans for professionals. Strictly professionals. Best commercial van residual value according to ALG, and starting at just $25,995. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to...
When you come to Relief Windows, your experience starts here.
Or here.
Then we come to your home.
We measure twice.
And then we bring custom windows to your home.
We remove your old windows. Install your new windows.
Clean our mess.
And we make sure you're completely satisfied.
And all of this before you pay a dime. And at Relief Windows, our #1 product is customer satisfaction.
Relief Windows.
Heater outages hurt everyone. Don't be a victim. Call Accutemp and schedule your maintenance check today.
Can't get enough Sports Shorts? Tune into Sports Shorts TV on Cox HD Channel 1013 Mondays at 8, Tuesdays at 9, and ETEL Channel 4. That's 52 weeks a year to get educated on sports by the best. Joel Davis and Ronnie Rance.
Welcome back, everybody, to Sports Shorts. Coach Skip Bertman joining me. Gosh, I mean, you retired at 62. Were you 61 or 62 when you retired?
I was, going to just turn 63. And
63.
But I didn't so much retire as they said, would you be the athletic director?
Right.
And Mark Emmert, who was here 5 years and, of course, now the head of the NC2A, really sharp. And he said, we just need more money, in athletics. And the way to do it, of course, is through the large football stadium. And we're the only one that doesn't have a seat license. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, you're probably the only guy that could put the seat license in and not get his house burned down.
Right.
And
that came later.
That's right. And my wife gave me the green, and Dale Brown, God bless him, he had done some things where I could have been a public speaker with the Washington Speakers Bureau, and he'd done some things for me. But LSU needed me. I knew what to do, and we got it done through Dan Radakovich, who's now at Clemson, Herb Vincent, who's now a big job with the SEC in charge of all baseball, and, of course, Verge Osbury, who's one of the great ones and still at LSU. Those three guys, and I put it together. And we were able to explain to the people what it was.
Right.
We were able to show them what Texas had.
Right. Why we have to do it.
Yeah, and why Arkansas had it and we didn't, or Mississippi State. And then we showed them some of the facilities. And then, of course, we did it, and the board never really got an email. Everybody realizes how to be done. And we started small. And now, of course, it's much more, but it still isn't equal to some of the bigger schools. And yet we've done very, very well. And that money is what builds the tennis center for the girls and guys. That redoes the golf course,
gymnastics,
and of course gets a nice gymnastics building for 16 girls.
Right.
You know, I mean, you have to have football, and Radakovich did it at Clemson, even though Clemson started in the 30s with IFTY, you know, where I pay, and that was $10, and now of course they put in some where they have more money, and now they can compete.
You stepped down as being baseball coach at 63, transition to athletic director. Paul Maneri's 61 right now.
Right.
And retrospectively, now that you're 80 and you look back at your time, should you have stayed another 7, 8, 10 years?
I think if I had stayed another 7, 8, 10 years, which of course you could easily have done, I'd have made a lot of more money. You know, I love baseball. I mean, I love the kids, and I love the late innings. Boy, I miss that, you know, of a close game. You know, I really like that. Calling the pitches, giving the signal, I really like that. However, I don't miss the travel, the buses. I don't miss the recruiting. I don't miss the on the other hand, today, you know, there are so many coaches, analysts, you know, director of player personnel. And, you know, I had a volunteer coach,
right?
You know, who I wasn't allowed to pay, and he wasn't allowed to get any money from me. And somehow he got it, and he was the guy, and I had, you know, one other coach, you know, but I tell you what, I wouldn't trade it in the world. I mean, I don't know if you'd trade it because you picked up, you know, some stones and you painted some parts and you declared ownership, you know, for our small Alec box. But I would have traded it. Coming here and having two sports, football and spring football, challenged me, you know, and I had mentorship, you know, both as a young man and at Miami from Ron Frazier. And, you know, I was able to sell some tickets by getting family passes, and I was able to do some things. And people here were excited. The people there were wonderful. I was fortunate in LSU's unfortunate where the football team was down, you see.
Right.
And you feel all of a sudden we got a winner here, you know, in baseball. And the thing I like about it is that, you know, we went to Omaha a lot, you know. Personally, you know, I went 11 times when just here, but ULL was able to go, and Tulane twice was able to go. So if it can be done by one person, it can be done by anybody. You say if it was done before, and I'm proud of that.
Well, raise the bar.
Raise the bar, and people just kept coming and kept coming. See, because there's enough baseball players for everybody.
You know, it's interesting. There's so many great stories, and I'm really excited that some people will get a chance to touch on just a few. But in 2020, they're doing an actual SEC stories on the legend Skip Bertman. It's going to be a special that they're going to air on ESPN and SEC, and sometime probably around the College World Series time of 2020, that'll make the airwaves. It's impossible to get everything in a 1 hour window, but it'll be fun for the masses. But when I think back to your time building this thing, right? 1984, your first year. 1986, the first time you went to the College World Series. 1991, the first time you won the College World Series. And then you were done in 2001. I mean, it's a short window, but a big window, right? But one of the things that stands out the most, and it's bizarre, it would never happen again, it would never happen anywhere else, was in 1992 when we played Mississippi State at the old Alec Box Stadium. And the last weekend of the season, or home series of the season, and we had to win 2 out of 3 that weekend to win the SEC championship. And there were so many people at the old box that Joe Dean was out there on the field. They delayed the start of the game. They allowed fans to come on the field and sit on the field along the fence line, and on like the warning track along the sidelines.
That's right.
And they were 2 rows deep on the sidelines, and they made them sit down Indian style. And then once everybody was sat down, they took the chalk and chalked them off so that they couldn't come outside of that chalk. And if the ball went in there, it was a dead ball. And I mean, and you were able to put an extra, 200 people on the field or something.
Right.
I mean, that's insane. That's insane.
Right.
But what a great memory.
Well, Joe Dean, God rest his soul, was so excited.
Right.
To have that crowd,
Right.
and there's Mitch, the fire marshal. You can't do this.
Right.
And just saying, all right, well, okay, just a few more. And next thing you know, they're all the way down the sideline.
All the way down.
And they were all the way down the other side, and it kind of reminded me of looking at an old-time baseball game,
Right.
in the
That was the box
09,
seating, right,
where
right.
you just stand around the field.
Right.
And it was a lot of fun, and those were great things, and Mississippi traveled so well.
Yeah, especially back then.
See
yeah.
then. And that was fun. Good
I
memory.
mean, that is just such a bizarre memory. I mean, you see photos of that, now, and you wonder, what was going on? By the way, we got a photo right there, Coach, that's on the screen. That was a few LBs ago, huh? I mean, that was that was circa 90, about 86 probably, something like that right there. I mean,
86,
the old Sansa belt baseball pants with no belt. That was the racquetball days. You were a big racquetball player,
days,
huh?
yeah.
Wall bangers?
Nah, I was a wall banger. I did them all. I could play I was almost good. I could play a little bit. And I found until about the knees, and the back and the, and
the
then
hips.
The hips. Whoa, the hips.
I heard you were pretty good. Pretty good racquetball player back in the day. Visiting with Coach Skip Urban. All right, let's talk about Coach Mainieri. I mentioned before you were 63 when you retired and moved to the AD. He's 61. How much longer is he going to do this?
He's going to go. My guess, is that he's going to go 6 more years, or 7 or 8, maybe even. He's got the contract to do that. I mean, the athletic director, who does a great job, Joe Oliva, has given him the contract to do that. He's at the point, where he can get a lot of help from a lot of people within his department. He doesn't have to do it all himself. See, and whatever he really wants done, he gets done. For example, it looks like we're not positive, but it looks like May 17th. The Plaza
This year.
Yeah, this year, coming right after the Auburn series, the Tradition Plaza and the National Championship Plaza are going to have a lot more plaques, and of course he's going to have 30 plaques of players, which he deserves. My God! But the difference is his plaques are going to be right in the front when you walk in. See, and they're going to be on the ticket pillars on both sides, so he can have 30 players, and then we'll have all the SECs and all the World Series appearances, all the players of the year, have an alumni wall that will have some donations, and of course a statue of myself is, maybe in the works. I'm not sure that that's the case.
That it'll be ready by then. It's in the works. It's just whether or not it'll be implemented.
Well, I certainly don't.
I
certainly don't want it on the day. If it were ready, I certainly wouldn't want it on the day that Mainieri has all
separate ceremonies.
Yeah, I want Paul to have what he deserves. He's been a wonderful coach. Do you know, Ronnie, with all the stats that you know, right now Mike Martin is the winningest coach down at Florida State. Now he's going to retire.
Right.
Okay,
Mike, over 2,000 wins.
Over 2,000. Now Mike's a great one. Okay, been there a long time. All right, Mike Fox, another great coach.
Former North Carolina coach.
North Carolina coach, active North Carolina coach.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
And he's 14 wins ahead of Paul. And Paul might even catch him this year,
Right,
and then next year be the winningest coach in the United States.
Active. Yeah.
Active. Paul's done some amazing things. Got a lot of championships, a lot of tournaments, a lot of big leaguers, a lot of professional ball players. There's never a hint of anything wrong. His kids graduate. They do everything right. You never worry about him where they are at 2 in the morning. I mean, he does it all. He takes care of a lot of cancer situation where he gives of his own free time and some others during the off season. He's an excellent speaker, so he's able to do those things. But he's really good from the bench.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, if he's during the game, Ronnie, if he's in the first base dugout as they are at the box, and the coach over there in the third base dugout, I think we have an edge in that Paul can hit and run or not hit and run, bunt or not bunt, steal or not steal, change pitchers, which of course is the number one thing. He changes pitchers well. And of course this year, he's got the number one team in the United States going in by 5 of 6 polls. And while he played that well, too, he doesn't downplay all the expectations. He knows where he's supposed to be at the end of the year, and he welcomes that. And that's great about Paul. Another great thing about Paul. On the other hand, we saw him play this first weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And based on what I've seen and based on speaking with Paul and Alan Dunn, and various players, I think they're really going to do well. I think they can win 55, even 60 games during the season.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether they can win in the tournaments as they should and then progress on and have good baseball fortune, remains to be seen. But we saw this weekend, and you saw Jalen
Hill.
yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
And you saw him 5 innings, and there's a lot to be proud of.
Jaden Hill, 5 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts.
8 strikeouts.
71 pitches.
Remember now, he had 93 and even a 94.
Hit a 95. I saw him throw
and even 95. I mean, that's pretty good first time out. And, of course, he was a very
most strikeouts for a Tiger in his debut since 2006 when Lewis Coleman had more.
Wow. I did not know. That's great. I'll tell you what else. He was a very much sought-after quarterback.
Right.
And I'll tell you, when the toughness of being the quarterback, and then you come on the mound, I think that's what made it easier for Jalen.
Jaden Hill from Arkansas, great athlete, as you mentioned, recruited to play quarterback. The cousin or nephew of Cedric Harris, guy who played center field on that 2000 College World Series team.
Right, has an LSU connection with a former player from 2000, one of our center fielders, Cedric Harris.
Yeah.
And great kid. And
Texarkana, Cedric from
Texarkana. He can't forget that. That a boy. And then we saw the clutch hit. It was nice that Duplantis got it after going 0 for 3 in his first time in the first game. That was nice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we were ever in danger of losing that game.
Yesterday, 3 former players of yours had sons that played in the game. I mean, Bianco, Richard Doty, who was a catcher in the late 80s for you, Mike Bianco, of course, who played and coached for you, and then Burke Broussard, who played infield for you. Their sons all played in the game yesterday.
The guy who didn't pitch, who might have pitched, but he has a back problem, they tell me. I had a guy, Vince Costello.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And now his son
that's right. That's
is
4.
Pitching. So there are 4 right now. And but more than that, that's I don't think. I mean, they just happen to be great players. I think there were other great players recruited well by Nolan Cain. And let's give Mainieri a little credit. He protected his drafted players. He stayed with them. So he was fortunate to be the national coach and had them all on the national team, 3 of them. All right, and he was fortunate to do that because Cabrera is a Todd Walker type.
Yeah.
He's a great player. He protected, not he's only a sophomore, but he protected the other two juniors.
Yeah.
Then he protected the third junior, and now he's got them all back. And then, of course, Hal Hughes did a great job, the son of a coach.
Mm-hmm.
Did a great job at shortstop last year while Josh was injured. Did a great job. Now he moved him over to third base. So he's a tough kid. Now, as you saw with 4 hits yesterday, Josh.
Back. Yeah.
He's a wonderful player.
Mm-hmm.
And at second base, Brandt is a great second baseman and smart.
I mean, he is a clone of his dad, isn't he?
Yeah, that's
I mean, it's unbelievable. It really is.
A smart guy. Will take
Yeah.
pitch, do whatever he has to do to get to first base. A winning player.
Mhm.
Now, at first base, whether that home run,
Beloso or
whether Beloso, from, the
John
player of the
Curtis.
year, John Curtis, that whether he can do it, whether he stays there or not, I don't know. Because they went with C.J. Willis, a catcher with a arm problem right this second. He's a great player. He's excellent. And then, of course, Bianco. And Bianco's a great shortstop. I'm telling you. Just one of those years where
a lot of depth.
they got them all. They got a lot of depth, particularly 10 pitchers.
Coach Skip Bertman joining us here on Sports Shorts, presented by LeBears Casino. By the way, if you missed out over at LeBears, they had Christopher Cross in concert last week, one of my favorites of all time, Grammy Award-winning singer. Didn't get a chance to see him, Coach. I'm kicking myself.
No.
I had to do the UL Texas game on TV, which I enjoyed, but wanted to see Christopher Cross. Sold-out show. But they've got a lot of good acts coming up. Three Doors Down will be there March 1st, Sarah Evans in April, and many, many others in between. So we'll take a break. Sports Shorts will be back. We'll talk to Coach. I want to get Coach Bertman, now that he's a radio talk host on Monday nights with Tiger Zone every Monday night from 8 to 9 over at Phil's Oyster Bar. He and Dan Canaveri do the show on Eagle 98.1. He's very diverse. I want to talk to him about Will Wade and the LSU basketball Tigers.
Yes.
And how it compares to the great teams of old under Dale Brown and John Brady. We'll be back with Sports Shorts right after this.
Heater outages hurt everyone. Don't be a victim. Call AccuTemp and schedule your maintenance check today.
If you're an avid sports fan, then you need to check out the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, located in historic downtown Natchitoches, next to the Chateau Saint Denis Hotel and the Natchitoches Convention Center. The Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame is where the rich history of Louisiana sports is told through the pictures, artifacts, and by the legends themselves in video archives. Come to the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame and Northwest Louisiana History Museum and visit a world-renowned architectural marvel. For more information and to purchase tickets to the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame events, visit lasportshall.com/purchase.
Introducing the Mercedes-Benz family of vans, including the full-size Sprinter and the mid-size Metris. If these are your wingtips, if this is your gourmet latte, then these are your vans. Vans for professionals. Strictly professionals. Best commercial van residual value according to ALG, and starting at just $25,995. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to...
When you come to Relief Windows, your experience starts here.
Or here.
Then we come to your home.
We measure twice.
And then we bring custom windows to your home.
We remove your old windows. Install your new windows.
Clean our mess.
And we make sure you're completely satisfied.
And all of this before you pay a dime. And at Relief Windows, our #1 product is customer satisfaction.
Relief Windows.
Heater outages hurt everyone. Don't be a victim. Call AccuTemp and schedule your maintenance check today.
Can't get enough sports shorts? Tune into Sports Shorts TV on Cox HD Channel 1013 Mondays at 8, Tuesdays at 9, and ETEL Channel 4. That's 52 weeks a year to get educated on sports by the best. Joel Davis and Ronnie Rance.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to Sports Shorts, presented by LeBears Casino. Ronnie Rance here alongside Coach Skip Bertman. Coach Hoops, LSU Hoops, top 10 RPI in the country, number one in the SEC. Big win, only 4 times ever have they gone to Rupp and won.
Yeah, it was disappointing that they didn't move, up. But I don't know, they got the new kind of ratings that are hard to maneuver, although their road games are unreal. But what I say about Will Wade, he takes a team to Missouri. And, of course, like most teams, when you take one of those chartered planes, you sell to people.
Yeah, boosters.
That will pay probably a little more,
Mm-hmm.
To help you defray cost. And friends of mine, went. And Will is the full package coach. Not only does he memorize all their names and make sure he talks to each and every one of them, but after that tremendous comeback, and all of the players, come out of their seats and give the fans a standing ovation. Now, those people are going to love Will forever. Now, of course, then I was there the other night, and they had a full house. Couldn't find an empty seat in the place, and I think that's just wonderful. I think the buildings that were built by the LSU Foundation, dorms, married and regular dorms across the street.
On Nicholson,
Yeah, Nicholson. Bring a lot of kids, maybe 500, 600 kids. They walk across, they watch a basketball game, and this is what I would want for my kid in college. And then you turn around and then you walk right back, and you go to Mathern's and get what you want, or you go to Wendy's.
Right.
You don't have to go to Fred's and go into the bar section, And I don't know. I like it. I like what he does. I like the way he carries himself. I like the way he handles his team. It's one thing to know when to press or when to slow the ball down, and some other things that coaches do. And I think he's got all of that. But I think he's more. I think at age 35 with one small, infant-type child, I think he loves it here. He's the only coach at LSU that could ever leave. All the others are locked in for life.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to retire here.
I don't, other than a Kansas or a Kentucky or a Duke, if they came calling, he's got to think about it. But other than that, I don't know that there's anybody else in play.
I agreed. Nice going. But people say to me, well, where?
Right.
Like, first of all, you don't want to go to Duke and be the second guy after that guy, or even Kansas and be that guy. You don't want to go to North Carolina. Where do you go? This is the place.
Mm-hmm.
It's a wonderful place for your children.
We'll make enough money to last them a
There's
lifetime.
enough money here because of the football team,
Right.
Which loads them up. And because of the great job that Rick Perry does with the Tiger Athletic Foundation, say, this is the place. And when people say, well, he's the only one, they got to watch out. I don't know. Unless his wife has a problem that I don't know about.
Right.
This is a great spot. And, of course, we may lose 2 of these players. What do you think? Naz Reid, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, Coach, every player that goes to college in basketball, Ricky Blanton told me this once, the great Ricky Blanton, who's from Miami, and you helped recruit him to LSU to play hoops. Ricky, who coached at Nichols, he was the head basketball coach at Nichols many moons ago, and he told me every Division I college basketball player, regardless of the conference, the school, whether they're the 8th guy on the team coming off the bench or not, thinks they're going to play in the NBA one day.
Yeah.
And so even more so than even football or baseball, right? They really believe that, give me a shot, I can play in the NBA.
Well, there are and lots of options. They can play overseas. They can play in the CBA.
So because of that, I think the LSU, and you know this from baseball, when you have a player that expects to go to college and be there 3 years and leave, sometimes he'll take hardly any money because he feels like that's what I'm supposed to do, or he would feel bad if he came back for a senior year, like
didn't do
like
it
he
well.
wasn't good enough or something. Well, I think that's the case with this team in the sense that there's probably a couple players, many players, but a couple that'll go, whether they should or not, whether if they came back, they might move up 15 picks and get a few more money or whatever. They feel like, hey, I'm supposed to be a one and done, or I'm supposed to leave after my sophomore year. I think that's probably going to happen, whether it's the right thing or not.
Well, but Nazareth is strong and getting better.
Right.
And that, of course, that's what they're going to love.
Right.
And he was picked 16th by one poll, And while that's not guaranteed money, it's still, there's a guy that seems like he can play in the future. And Tremont Waters, who's really great, love his HWA, his how to win awareness. Boy, is he something,
The Tremont Waters is the more interesting discussion. I mean, Naj Reid is going to be a first-round pick, whether he's the first pick or the 30th pick to be determined. But Tremont Waters is a guy that you either believe in the sub-6-foot guard or you don't, right? And you might be a GM of a team who I just can't get my head wrapped around a 5'10" guard, so I'm not going to take him. But at the same time, a guy like Tremont Waters, I don't know that it benefits him coming back for his junior year because he's not going to grow. You either get it. I mean, he's a great player now. He can do all the things you need to do. You either get it and you believe in a 5'10" guard being worth a first-round pick, or you don't. So I think it's just going to take a team to love him, and I just don't think
it
he's
would
going
have to be like that.
I don't think another year being the same player at 5'10" is going to make somebody go, well, you know what? I didn't like him last year, but I like him this year.
But what happened to Muggsy Bogues?
Yeah.
Spud Webb.
Yeah.
And all these tiny guys.
I mean, look at Isaiah Thomas, right now in the league, and the original Isaiah Thomas,
Well, what happened? And the answer is a lot of changes have been made.
Mm-hmm.
The way the game has been played, in the NBA, just like Major League Baseball, a lot of changes. And I think he's caught, right in the middle of those changes. Do I think he can play? Sure.
Right.
But you're right. You got to have an owner and a coach that believes that way.
Coach Skip Bertman, of course, look, he's not just a baseball coach. I mean, the guy used to coach football in high school. The guy was an athletic director. By the way, what position in football did you coach, Ken?
I coached the offensive lineman, of course.
At Miami Beach High.
At Miami Beach.
You were the sled guy. You were in the back of the
I was the
sled.
sled guy, and but I tell you what, still in touch with all of them, and they're older than, much older than you.
Right.
Yeah.
You had two famous baseball players, that Mickey Rourke and Andy Garcia, that were actors.
That I had Mickey Rourke played first base for a year, and of course Andy Garcia is just unbelievable. How famous he is. He played some baseball before he went to Beach High, in our summer league. And Roy Firestone.
That's right. Roy Firestone was. Roy Firestone was one of my heroes growing up.
Yes, I would think so.
With ESPN, fantastic, and you had him at one of the Fantastics
yes,
banquets.
Wasn't he great?
And he's a singer, comedian, do it all, man. We got any? Did we keep up with him at all? Do we know where
he's
at
in
these
California, and he's kind of retired,
yeah.
and he just doesn't want to work much anymore.
Yeah, because he was on everything for 20 years, and then all of a sudden
boom.
just shut it down. All right, Coach Skip Bertman, we'll take a break. We'll be back. Final segment, Sports Shorts next.
Heater outages hurt everyone. Don't be a victim. Call Accutemp and schedule your maintenance check today.
If you're an avid sports fan, then you need to check out the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, located in historic downtown Natchitoches, next to the Chateau Saint Denis Hotel and the Natchitoches Convention Center. The Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame is where the rich history of Louisiana sports is told through the pictures, artifacts, and by the legends themselves in video archives. Come to the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame and Northwest Louisiana History Museum and visit a world-renowned architectural marvel. For more information and to purchase tickets to the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame events, visit lasportshall.com/purchase.
Introducing the Mercedes-Benz family of vans, including the full-size Sprinter and the mid-size Metris. If these are your wingtips, if this is your gourmet latte, then these are your vans. Vans for professionals. Strictly professionals. Best commercial van residual value according to ALG and starting at just $25,995. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to...
When you come to Relief Windows, your experience starts here.
Or here.
Then we come to your home.
We measure twice.
And then we bring custom windows to your home.
We remove your old windows. Install your new windows.
Clean our mess.
And we make sure you're completely satisfied.
And all of this before you pay a dime. And at Relief Windows, our #1 product is customer satisfaction.
Relief Windows.
Heater outages hurt everyone. Don't be a victim. Call AccuTemp and schedule your maintenance check today.
Can't get enough sports shorts? Tune into Sports Shorts TV on Cox HD Channel 1013 Mondays at 8, Tuesdays at 9, and ETEL Channel 4. That's 52 weeks a year to get educated on sports by the best. Joel Davis and Ronnie Rance.
Welcome back, everybody, to Sports Shorts final segment, presented by L'Auberge Casino in Baton Rouge. L'Auberge has been, it'll be 7 years at the end of this summer.
Wow.
I mean, just time flies. Saw your former player over the weekend, the guy that holds the record for most walks in a season, Andy Gailey. He was with former Vice President of L'Auberge Casino, Mickey Parrington, and every single time, Coach, they were at the Texas UL game on Saturday because David Pierce, the head coach of Texas, coached Andy Gailey's son at Tulane, so they have a friendship, and they went over to go watch him play. And every single time I introduced Andy Gailey to someone new for the first time, and Andy had never met my brother Gus, and so I introduced him to Gus at the game, and I said, hey, by the way, this guy, played baseball for Skip Bertman. He still holds the record for most walks in a season in 87 or 88. He walked it 80 times or something like that. And then, of course, Andy then proceeds to tell him you made him take till he got 2 strikes the whole season. And also that you made him hit left-handed at least 3 times that year, and then proceeds to imitate, how he'd squat down and take the pitches, and how against Tennessee, Rod Delmonico, after Andy had walked like 4 or 5 times in the game, was at the top step of the dugout screaming as loud as he could, swing the freaking bat. But
the funniest thing is when he's with Mickey Parrington, of course, it played at ULM,
right?
And they're very close,
right?
And high school, very close. And of course, like Red Buttons used to say, he never got a dinner. He was famous, but he never got a dinner. And he'd always go, Gailey. Gailey never hit a homer. He got the walks, but he never hit a homer.
That is true. That is true. He never hit a homer at LSU. But Andy has something, because Paul Maneri now is still bitter at Ron Maestri because Ron hit ninth and Ron made him take he got 2 strikes a bunch before he gets switched. So Paul's still bitter about that. Andy, 30 years later, he's like, look, I hit 285 and I didn't swing till I had 2 strikes. If he lets me swing, I hit 320. If he just lets me swing. But honestly, Coach, I know sometimes the stories get a little exaggerated, but he swears, and I need you to verify this.
Okay.
He swears that you made him hit left-handed at least once.
I don't know about that. I'll tell you what. I've heard.
And he hit right-handed, by the way. That's why.
Listen, I got many stories, and I love the guys, and I love the way they do the stories, but they do embellish. And in Gailey's case, remember, they were taught that they're one group, and the best way to win, okay, is the way we do it. And if you come out of the game with 4 2/3 and you don't get the win,
right,
that doesn't matter. This is only the team matters. And, boy, that's tough. It's tough to do that, but especially 30 years later.
Yeah. Well, I do have one bone to pick with you, but before I get to that, I will say that Andy's version of the story is that Coach told him, pulled him aside and said, "Hey, big guy, listen, I need you to hit left-handed." See, and Andy's like, "What? Well, he says, "Yeah, listen, I need you to take and just hit left. This guy can't throw strikes to a left-handed hitter. I swear to God. So I need you to hit left-handed." And Andy looked at you and said, "Well, Coach, what do I do if I get 2 strikes?" And you went, "Well, then hit right-handed." And so he got to 3-2, and he switched over to the right side. I don't know the rest of the story, but he swears that he hit lefty, and the count went to 3-2, and he switched. And he hit right-handed, so I don't know. No recollection of that, Coach?
No recollection. He sent me a wonderful text. I gave him a picture that I found in looking for this 30 thing, going through pictures of he and Dan Kite on the cover of a magazine. And then we signed it and gave it to him, and he had a great time at the baseball game with Mickey. And I must say that if they were all like Andy, if they were all like you, and I'd probably still be coaching.
Right.
But they're special kids, and you miss those kids.
So, Coach, I after all these years, I do have one bone to pick. And you brought up earlier how we're all one, and hold the rope and kumbaya, and we're all rowing in the same direction, and doesn't matter if you come out of the game 4 2/3, which he did to me a couple of times. But that's not even it. That's not even it. That's Southeastern in '92. That's not. We're not going to talk about that one. But what we are going to talk about is in 1992, we were playing Tennessee on the weekend series, and this was before Doppler 5000 radar and all that kind of stuff. We just had Skip Bertman
That's
radar.
Right. We knew.
All right, so. It's expected to rain that day on that Sunday, and Coach tells the team, "Hey guys, listen, it's going to rain. I swear to God. I mean, it's coming." And look, these guys, they've got a plane to catch and the curfew, so we've got to hurry up. Tennessee wasn't good that year. We got to hurry up and get the win, so we don't get. You got to get the win here before the rains come. I swear it's going to come. So we had thrown a bunch of guys that Saturday, so I get the start on that Sunday, and. Sure enough, I go out, I put 2 zeros on the board the first, second inning, and in the bottom of the second, we score 10 runs, literally, and we're up 10-0. And Coach gives me the ball to go out to start the third, and he goes, "Hey, listen, we got to hurry this thing along. The rest, swear it's coming. I need you to throw all fastballs. Let's go." So the first batter, I throw one fastball, first pitch, double, Next batter, first pitch, double. All right, it's 10-1, runner at second, no outs. Here comes Coach to the mound, and I'm thinking he's going to go, "Hey, listen, all right, we're gonna have to throw some curveballs too. We're going to change it up here." He hooks me, Coach. He hooks me. I'm in shock. I mean, I don't see it coming. He signals to the bullpen, and here comes David Harry. And I'm like, "Well, Coach, it's 10-1. We're at the third. We're good. I mean, like, you just don't let me. Just come on. We're fine." And I give him the ball. I walk off the mound, and I hear him tell David Harry, as he hands them the ball, "All curveballs. We got to get this thing moving. Here we go." We won 13-11 in 9 innings. The game went 9. It was like 55 runs scored. It lasted 4 hours. There I am on the bench getting hooked, and I tell everybody that's how much lack of confidence he had in me, was that he hooked me after 10-1 in the third.
That's how bad a weatherman I was. But the truth is, let's be real here. You didn't have a curveball. Okay, so let's get real with this.
I mean,
thing.
I could have at least done some shake-off fastballs.
And you know that when you gave the ball, you give the ball to Harry.
That's
you
true.
don't really
That's
give
true.
it to me.
I
So
do,
remember out there, the stories. But in Ronnie's case, you're not supposed to have favorites, but he's one of the favorites, and he's a good friend today. And he could tell a story, and he can imitate, but he could sing the national anthem, and then he could pitch the ball game. Good one.
Coach, thanks so much for taking the time. Appreciate it. Please tell Miss Sandy I said hello, and we'll talk to you maybe later on in the season.
All right. Good
All
luck.
right. Coach Skip Bourbon, check him out Monday nights from 8 to 9. Tiger Zone on Eagle.